Clerk to call the roll, please.
Director Kildee.
Here.
Director Morgan.
Here.
Secretary McDonald. Here. Chairman Craven.
Here. Mrs. McDonald, would you lead us in the pledge?
Please rise
Pledge,
and join
please.
us. Please rise and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any amendments to the agenda?
There are no amendments.
Okay. Public comments? I don't have any cards. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to the Board of Directors of the Camarillo Sanitary District? Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Move the approval of the consent calendar. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Excuse me. Any comments from staff?
I don't have any. Does Public Works have any comments? Nope.
Comments from board members?
Pray for rain.
No kidding.
Okay, with that, meeting's adjourned.
I'd like to call the Camarillo Successor Agency special meeting for September 24th to order, please. And let the record reflect that all members are present with the exception of Mr. Little. Amendments to this agenda?
There are no amendments.
Public comments to the successor agency? Let's move down to item 3. It's the consent calendar.
Move the approval. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes 4 with 1 absence. 4, departmental, the recognized obligation payment schedule. Mr. Campbell, do you have that one?
Yes, thank you. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, in your capacity as successor agency to the former Camarillo Community Development Commission, the item before you tonight is the recognized obligation payment schedule, or ROPS 1415B. This is for the upcoming period January through June of 2015. It does total a little over $4.3 million, or $4.305127 to be exact. Recall, this provides the funding mechanism for payment of our recognized obligations. The ROPS that's being presented includes just 2 major categories. It's pretty simple on a going forward basis. It provides for our debt service payment, $4.2 million, and then the balance of the 1415 administrative allowance, or $125,000. That is presented on the summary page, and then the detail, which is page 3 of the ROPS, again shows the debt service to be paid, lines 1 through 6, and then the administrative budget and administrative allowance. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions at this time? Hearing none?
Move the approval. Staff recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes 4-0 with 1 absence. Okay. Item B, resolution approving the preliminary bond official statement, the POS. Mr. Campbell, would you have that one as well?
Thank you again, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, in your capacity as successor agency. This is a third part, if you will, in the proposed refunding of the 2004 bonds. We've had several meetings. On July the 9th, we discussed kind of the current bond status, the goal of refunding, the expectations of the refunding, the bond market at that time, and then the proposed 2014 bond. On the 23rd, the successor agency approved various forms related to the refunding, various bond documents, bond purchase agreement, continuing disclosure agreement, escrow agreement, as well as other items related to the proposed refunding. We also discussed at that meeting securing an underwriter through an RFP process, and that process has been going on from the 23rd until this present meeting. The RFP process was detailed in your agenda report. It did yield 5 proposals from very qualified firms. City staff met with our financial consultant on Thursday, September the 18th, to review the results of that RFP process. The recommended firm, as a result of that process, is Stiefel. It's believed that their experience in the post-RDA environment, the qualifications of the assigned personnel, as well as their familiarity with Camarillo and the attractive pricing and fees, make them an ideal selection for this underwriting obligation. Our financial advisor, Kurt DeKernis, is present if he would like to share any additional information on that process. On the 6th of August, the 6th of August, the Oversight Board also then took action to approve the documentations that were approved by the successor agency on the 23rd, and that information has then been submitted to the State Department of Finance for their final review and approval. All of those things need to come together collectively to allow us to move forward in the proposed refunding. The item before you tonight is a resolution to approve the preliminary official statement, which was available for review in the city clerk's office, and also then to advise you of the underwriter selection. At this point, that would conclude my comments, unless you have particular questions about where we are in the process, again, for the proposed refunding of the 2004 CDC bonds.
Any questions?
Sounds good.
Mrs. McDonald?
Schedule-wise, we're still looking at, you think by December we'll
Yes,
have
we
everything
should.
done?
On the absolute final date for the State Department of Finance to submit their approval of this would be sometime mid-October. I did have discussion with them today, which indicated it's in the latter part of the review process, and things are looking favorable that we should get a response on or before the 7th of October.
Good, good, very good.
Any other questions?
Very good report.
No?
No.
Move to adopt a resolution approving the form and authorizing distribution of a preliminary official statement in connection with the offering and sale of tax allocation refunding bonds for the Camarillo Corridor project and approving related documents and actions.
Second.
So motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes 4-0 with one absence. Okay. Any comments from the staff?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, Bronny does have a couple comments relative to the State Department of Finance, two letters that we have into the State Department of Finance regarding bonds, and I know he recently got an update on one of the letters.
Right. There was an item that was on our last ROPS, and if you recall, there was an expenditure agreement that was executed one ROPS cycle ago to expend the remaining bond proceeds to have the successor agency enter into an agreement with the city to expend those bond proceeds. In our final filing of all of those related documents, it was discovered that a few of the recitals were incorrect in the version that was submitted to the State Department of Finance. So that was an item that needed to be cleared, I'll term it administratively, through the State Department of Finance. We did receive a letter from them on this past week that that item has been approved, the recitals so noted, so that loan repayment stands. This was just, again, something to clean up administratively that has made its way through the review process, and so we're glad to report that that item has actually been resolved. Then the other one was just an update on where we are in the proposed refunding. As I mentioned in my earlier comments with the proposed POS, or approval of the POS, I did have conversation with our analyst on this afternoon who indicated the documents that were submitted in support of refunding the 2004 bonds. From his perspective, and it would be from a staff perspective, everything looked good as far as for approval. It then has to move through a review of their legal department, which is where it's at right now. And that's why he was kind of uncommitted as far as the time frame, not knowing how many things legal has to look at. But certainly once it comes, once the review is completed in the legal department, then it will go to final management for us to then get a determination letter. Again, his best estimate is that it would probably be to us by the 7th of October, so well within the time frame that we've established for the refunding, and that would allow us to move forward in this process.
All right. Anything else? Comments from the board members tonight? No? With that, we stand adjourned. Okay. I'd like to call the regular city council meeting for September 24th to order, please, and let the record reflect that all members are present with the exception of Mr. Little. Amendments to this agenda?
No amendments.
No presentation. Consent calendar items?
Your Honor, I'd like to have item F. I think that's kind of an important item that Maybe a brief summary would give us, the public, an idea of kind of the moves we're making in water in this county. So I'd like to have item F talked about,
You want to put that under city manager?
wherever he wants to put it.
Public Works should work.
Okay.
Public Works.
Why don't we do
Your
the
Honor,
trolley
I have a
first,
question
and
on
then
one when we get to the consent calendar, but I don't need to pull it.
Okay, hang on here, Jan, let me write that down. Item F. Consent. Okay, Jan, did you have?
I just have a question once we get to the consent
Okay.
calendar, so just, we go slow there.
Where we
All
are.
right, we're on consent
We're on
now.
it
Do you
now.
want to ask
That's
your
why I
question
pulled
now?
it.
We normally pull things under amendments, sorry.
No.
You want me to ask my question?
Yeah, sure.
It has to do with number H.
H, okay.
And I was just a little surprised at the price it costs, and Tom's not here tonight, but Callie, I don't know if you know the answer to it. Is that normally what it costs to rewire one signal, or is it multiple interchange at the
Let
whole?
me turn the microphone on. Bill, hang on here.
Oh,
there you
Bill's
go.
back there. Oh, good.
It is a bit higher. We have some extensive conduit runs to be replaced. They're undersized at this time for the new cabling we use for the current design of signals. This is higher than normal.
Okay, just caught my eye, so at least there's a reason, okay. That problem at many of the four-ways, I guess there's more than four signals there, isn't it, because of the,
This one's just kind of unique to this situation on
Okay.
Santa Rosa Road.
okay, all righty. Thank you, that's all I had.
Move the approval of the consent calendar.
With the exception of item F.
Pardon? With the exception of item F, which has been moved to Public Works.
Second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes 4-0 with one absence. Okay. That moves us down to Public Works, and it's an agreement to provide the trolley services. Do we have a staff report on that?
Yes, we do. Tally's going to give us the
you're gonna take
report.
that? Okay.
Yes.
I do have a PowerPoint if we can. Oh, there we go. Okay, Your Honor, council members, this is an item to consider approving an agreement between the city and the Chamber of Commerce to provide trolley service. We do have this PowerPoint, and we did do a study session previously. The agreement has been signed by the chambers and is in your packet. Tonight, we're going to just kind of summarize the proposed service, talk a little bit about the budget, and then the actual agreement itself with the Chamber of Commerce. I think you've seen this picture before. This kind of shows the trolley service route. It'll start there at the Metrolink and proceed down Daly Drive to the west, south on Las Posas Road, and then back to the Metrolink on Ventura Boulevard. It's going to stop at a lot of major retail centers, and it will end up back there. It's going to serve residents, major retail centers, students from CSUCI, tourism for those, a lot of the commercial and retail centers there along the route. They propose to have one vehicle 7 days a week, so it'll be one trolley bus. The hours are right now scheduled to be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but extended on Friday and Saturday nights for people who look to stay in Old Town and other commercial centers for longer on the weekend.
How long would that be?
What's that?
How long would that be on the weekends? Extended?
Right here. 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday nights. The agreement is flexible, and depending on ridership and the ridership demand, it could be, starting at 11 a.m. and going to, 11 a.m. and maybe even going to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. Again, that'll come out of this demonstration period for the trolley. You see the red line there starting from Metrolink. It takes approximately half an hour to go all the way down Daly and back Ventura Boulevard to the Metrolink station. So if someone wants to just ride it, it should take about a half an hour to do the full loop. Again, this is a demonstration period, demonstration project is what's being proposed and agreed in the agreement, and it would begin October 1st. So that's the service. There's the trolley itself. Pretty nice little trolley. Inside the trolley, in the budget, The city would be administering, of course, the service, and the city would be covering 50% of the annual cost of $200,000, which makes our contribution $100,000, and we would be using federal transit funds to cover that. The other 50%, $20,000, would come from CSUCI, from the university, and then the remaining of the $100,000 would be from the business community. In the agreement, we would be collecting that money from the Chamber of Commerce, and they would be the ones looking to other businesses to make contribution towards that $80,000. We would be operating the service via the Roadrunner contract that exists. Again, the Chamber would be collecting from other businesses. We're looking to collect $20,000 per quarter, and so of course 4 quarters would get us the $80,000 per year from the Chamber. And we would make that first collection on January 1st. If this were to start October 1st, that would be the end of the first quarter there. And then if everything is going well, we're going to review it quarterly. Service would continue if we're seeing ridership averaging more than 30 rides a day. Currently, the Dial-A-Ride has 30 rides a day, so we're kind of using that as a barometer for this service. Service will continue if we're receiving timely quarterly payments. If at the first quarter or second we're not getting the full $20,000, then we can review the agreement or even the service at that time. And then in the agreement itself, both the city or the Chamber could invoke a 30-day written termination. They would just need to notify the other person why they're terminating it. And the recommended action, again, it's tonight's to approve an agreement for this trolley service. And if council does approve the agreement, we recommend that the service begin October 1st. We would review the service January 1st, which is after the first quarter, and we're hoping that the holiday season, if we're not getting more than 30 rides a day, during the holidays, then we really need to look at the service. What's that?
If it makes any difference, that the people in Westlake had 500 people run the first weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tally, there's no charge for the riders.
Correct. This is a free ride. How many free rides do we? Yes, free trolley ride.
Ms. Craven?
I have several questions. Could you put the map back
Oh, sure.
up,
Can I
please?
just finish my last little bullet
Oh,
there?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
That's
doing-
okay.
Sorry.
Real close. So you're and there is going to be some outreach and marketing that may be in some of your questions on how things are going to happen there. The business community would kind of take the lead, but of course we would be doing brochures, put it on the website, City Scene TV, running a newspaper information item. And now I am ready to answer any questions. We also have our traffic division here if we get real technical. And we also have representatives from CSUCI, the Chamber, as well as the Promenade Shopping Center here this evening.
Ms. Craven had a question.
Could you put the map back up, please?
Yes.
Kind of top right, it says Ponderosa Plaza. I went around looking last night. We have a Ponderosa North, we have a Ponderosa Center. Where will it stop, and how will people know where? We don't have a Ponderosa Plaza.
Is it Harley's Bowl?
And that is right there.
Harley's
next to
Bowl,
the
right there is where it'll
Dollar
stop.
Market and the
It
bowling
was
alley.
known as the
Ponderosa
Ponderosa,
Center.
and then the other one was the Ponderosa North back in the
If you
day.
look at the sign, it says Ponderosa Center.
And that's something we can do when the actual brochures or the maps do get published. We can,
You'll have to name the stops anyway, like Harley's Bowl
Well,
stop. Yes.
well, where they actually stop, right?
Yeah, that was my next question. How do people know where in the center to wait for the trolley? Will there be signs?
There has been talk of putting signs, yes.
I think we need to do something because they could be in entirely the wrong part of any of those and not make it over.
Yeah, we have been meeting again with CSUCI, the Chamber, and the shopping centers, and going over what kind of signs there are going to be, what they should say, information, where the next stop is, things of that nature, and we are reviewing that.
Okay.
And we'll be doing more details of, getting into the marketing and brochures, how best to notify people, and
It's only, this is the 24th, it's only,
it's
what,
only next
6
Wednesday.
days?
Correct. We do have a meeting tomorrow.
We need to have all this, all this decided in time to get signs up so people know.
That's correct.
You said that the city's paying $100,000. It's proposed the chamber will collect money from businesses and pay $20,000, and the university will pay $80,000. And yet I don't see the university in the contract.
Actually, it's the
Where do they come in?
The chambers is paying $80,000. CSUCI is $20,000.
Oh, I had it wrong. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's reversed.
But where did, I don't see any place where the university's mentioned in this agreement.
Yeah, they're not in that particular agreement. They will be providing $20,000. Again, it's up to the chamber to collect from the different
Is the
entities.
chamber collecting the university's money? I guess that's my question.
they're not-
Because
they're
if
not-
they're obligating $20,000,
Correct.
it seems to me they should have been part of this.
We will be invoicing the university, and they have a letter of agreement with us to pay us quarterly. But the chamber's agreement is only for the business community, but for $80,000.
Okay, so the university pays separately,
They
but
do
they're
pay
not
separately.
signing an agreement.
They are not.
Okay.
The primary purpose of the chamber agreement was to satisfy the business community's requirement to be indemnified. So the chamber is signing the agreement, and there's indemnification language in there.
And I guess my next well, it's a two-part question, but the agreement doesn't obligate the chamber to pay us the $80,000. Any amount they do not pay, then the city is going to be responsible for paying for.
If we do not receive timely payment, or if they say, you know what, we didn't collect on this particular quarter, if they say we only have $10,000, not the $20,000 at any particular quarter, we'll stop and review whether or not we want to continue service, or if council wants to consider
Okay,
offsetting it, but it's
the way it's written, it says, if the business community contributes less than $20,000 for any given quarter, then the chamber is not responsible for paying to the city the shortfall. It doesn't say we're going to immediately review this at that point.
no, we would review it quarterly as I was presenting, and it is in there that if we decide that it's not timely, or it's not going to, or it's going to happen each time that they don't come up with the money, then we do have the 30-day clause where we say, you know what, we're just going to terminate the service.
Let me phrase it in addition to what Tally just said. This is a 12-month demonstration project.
Right.
We have secured funding for at least 8 months out of the 12, probably close to 10. We're going into the high retail season, which is the higher ridership. It is a demonstration project. If it's not working, we're going to know by January of 2015, because that's the holiday time, shopping time. But we have funding at least for 8, if not 10 months. And if funding is not, if the remaining funding for the last 2 months is not there, and there's low ridership and the retail stores are not interested because the trolley's not really, the demonstration project doesn't have the ridership, then we'll probably terminate it, or consider terminating the trolley at that time.
Okay. Let me just make a comment. Those were all my questions, but, well, or maybe I should ask this question. With the traffic being what it is the whole weekend after Thanksgiving, including Black Friday, how do we plan to handle getting the trolley through in a half-hour route?
Well, during the heavy traffic times, it's probably going to be a little bit longer, I imagine, than the 30-minute headway.
Okay. Okay, those were my questions.
Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, that the amount that the chamber is going to collect, I have a feeling they'll be collecting from the factory outlet mall, possibly. Okay, so you're responsible for collecting from them. Okay, on your route, if you look at the far west end, and you see how it makes that little box, that's going to be difficult to cross over on Las Posas Road unless you're going with a stoplight. If you go down and you go up, where it's as far most western end, and you go up and go left and around, then you hit the stoplight for all the turns. If you do and try to go across that main drag there, you're not going to make it.
Are-
But it would be simple to go up and back around using the stoplight.
Are you there next to Target with that arrow going down?
Let me see, where are you? Where are you?
You said a box. So I'm at Las
Right there,
Posas
yeah,
and a
go-
box.
See the box? See the arrow going down?
Correct.
If you take that arrow and go up and to the left and around that building and come back, you don't have to go over here and try to cross.
The arrow is at the signal right now. It's on the east side of Target.
Yeah.
That's where the signal is.
Yeah, I understand. But see the one that you've got that goes over Las Posas Road at the far lane to the north that goes to Las Posas?
Okay, at the freeway, just south of the freeway, there's an arrow that just tells us that it's crossing over the freeway and coming south.
Oh, you're going to start and go up daily first and come
Correct.
back.
That is correct.
Okay, gotcha. Then that's the way it's going to work.
How come the arrows go that way?
Otherwise, you'd have to do that.
Anything else? Mrs. McDonald?
I think you made a comment a moment ago about this agreement. Maybe now I understand it a little better. What the purpose of this agreement is. This isn't really agreement to operate the trolley because we have other partners in that. This is agreement between the chamber, mostly about collecting the funds and
That's
so
right.
forth. My question has to do with the setting of the stops and the timing and so forth. Will the university have an input as far as where they want to go? Going back to the map. My first thought was it didn't go deep enough into town center, but if indeed that's the site of Target, then maybe it gets far enough, because I know that was one of the desirable
Right,
spots
that's
for
right.
them to get. So will they have input in order to really meet the needs of the students, since that's kind of one of the driving forces behind this?
We, every meeting we've had Ray Porras with the university sitting in our meetings. He's reviewed this and brought it back to his folks. The main key item with the university is we're coordinating the link that comes from the university to the metro station. And then this is a fixed route with the fixed locations. But the main thing is we are linking with the university, with the existing trolley that comes, or the van, the shuttle that comes from the university.
But if you read the agreement alone, it makes it sound like it's going to be the chamber and the city that makes all the decisions, but the university will have input.
Absolutely.
Into
And they have
stops
all
and-
along.
Okay.
Yes, they will, yes.
It's a little confusing the way this
Well,
is.
to go a little bit further, there's two off-site, this semester, the university is growing, as you know, and there's two off-site residential areas, and we're coordinating with that as well, so that the students are aware how to get onto this.
And then the record keeping, how are we going to keep track of this? It's free, so we're not going to have a fare to measure. Are they going to have
The
some
bus driver, trolley driver.
manual log, or how do you
Yes.
propose? Just
The
a
trolley driver keeps track of the ridership data.
And will we know whether they're students, whether they're tourists? Are they going to go that deep into finding out
We
who's
can-
jumping on this trolley?
We can try, we can make a best guesstimate.
Maybe if you make him a nice spreadsheet, all he has to do is check, which box.
If they've got a knapsack, they're from the university, and
Well,
It's hard to talk to all of them because you'll slow the thing down, but
well, if we
if you
saw
have a way
Mr.
of...
Cushing, we wouldn't know he was a student when he was going to class, right?
but if you don't keep track of this, you're not going to know whether it's working or not. So somehow you have to monitor this, and you don't have a fare to base it on. So there's got to be something.
Well, I think we'll get a pretty good
Quicker
feel
or-
at the Metrolink station because that's typically where the students will connect. But they could connect from the housing that's near the post office, from the Marriott. They could come in from the Dial-A-Ride shuttle as well. But we will try. And the bus driver or trolley driver can request that information.
Or doubling up, you get off in one shopping center, and you're not a new one. You get on it
Yeah.
half an hour later to move to the next one. So that kind of thing. So if you really want us to understand what's going on, we need good data to
Yes,
do
it's a good
that.
point. Thank you.
I had one other question.
Mrs. Craven?
What are the plans to make the council aware of how this is working out? What is the proposal for reporting to us?
We can give you an update.
Well, I mean, is it going to be quarterly? What is it? Because staff to sit around might be one thing, and the council might want some input too.
October, November. Let's say no later than January after the shopping season, but maybe even before that. We'll have a feel for it. we can
Well,
send.
but you're saying if it's successful in the shopping season, it's going to be successful. I kind of disagree. I think we got 9 more months of the year to look at whether it's going to be successful. It's got to be successful more than just from October through December, first 2 weeks of January for the markdown sales.
I think we'd come back quarterly. I think it will be very successful during the holiday shopping, and we'll come back January. It's really you're right. It's January, February, March that we need to really keep an eye on
And
the use.
we'll get people used to riding it too by that time. Additionally, by that time we can figure, because I talked to a senior group the other day and they can't wait to ride it, because you can tell them you can pick it up any one of these centers that are on this. You don't have to go all down the train station. You can do any one of these centers, catch it and go and come back to your car later. So once we start telling them that it's easy to go find a place to park, that's going to help sell it.
We also don't know, which is something that the Ray with the university has been telling us, that absent the shopping, because the university is so busy and the parking, it takes a while. I don't want to say they're parking impacted, but it takes a while to find a spot to park. So the retail centers have been fine with folks parking there, hopping on the shuttle and taking the shuttle or the trolley to the shuttle out to the university as well. So there might be that type of secondary use as well. Medical appointments, I've heard folks are thinking of using because the main Vista connection on right near the park comes in, and they can hop on the shuttle there and go around the loop if they've got other appointments that are non-shopping.
Okay, I have just a couple more questions there. And I'm going to start with the one you just brought up with me. Are we also going to monitor these centers to make sure they are not impacting the center themselves as far as having available parking? Some of them have more excess parking than others. Some of them get to be rather...
Yeah, I think, yes, we'll leave that up to the bus trolley driver again. But the main, I think, outlet parking, no pun intended, is going to be over at the outlets. Because when you look at the map, that's where you would probably park. The excess parking on weekdays, yeah, it's a little quicker trip.
Other than during the holidays, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. My other one had to do with the weekend hours. If the university and the students were to want this to run later so that they could, do something Friday night, are we entertaining expanding that to that?
Absolutely. 10 is sometimes the time students start to go out, so we have to keep an eye on that. But yes, there's a lot of flexibility built into this. Okay. Yes.
And I guess my last one would be, do we indeed have any businesses who have anteed up to this, or is it just the intent to do so?
Gary, without naming the businesses, out of, you've got 80,000, you probably got about 60,000 committed?
I actually have checks in hand from one shopping center and one business. I'm meeting with another shopping center next week, and they are about 90% committed for about a 10 grand contribution. And then another one, the major one, which we won't name, is
not behind you.
is very close. I think today we could say we have about 67,000.
67.
67.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's not counting any advertising we would be doing on it. And we probably think about $1,000 a month in advertising, minimum, from the outside.
Oh, so we haven't talked about that. So we are going to advertise on the outside?
Yes.
We're outside advertising only businesses that are on the route,
Right.
because that way we can.
And that's a legal thing for the city to do?
Yes.
I'm looking
They
at-
do it in San Francisco. Rice-A-Roni will tell you all about it.
Everybody else does it.
But if somebody else wanted to advertise on it, would we have to allow it? I'm not talking about just advertising. I'm
I thought you were
talking about the exclusive piece of saying it's only for those who,
I would have to check on that, so we'll let you know.
once you get into the city, it's.
Well, that's why we
become technical.
wanted to make it just upon the route, because we had talked about in the committee about if you open up to anyone, we could have, let's say, Chumash, and we don't want Chumash on it. So,
That'd be a long detour. That would be a long detour.
They,
Well,
would
the-
probably,
yeah.
they would probably wrap the whole bus and probably pay for
Yeah.
it if we did it.
The
But
one big Chumash trolley. Pay for probably pay for all the funny. There wouldn't need to be a rider on there. So
Okay.
there's a lot of demand at this point for advertisement space, more than we have. So in order to call the request, we think there should be some priority given to those who are actually paying for the trolley that are on the route.
As long
And
as
so
we
that's,
legally do it,
yes,
it makes
yes, and that is under review. We just haven't brought it up to Brian yet until we get the approval. There's no sense spending attorney fees unless we have the program, right?
You know what, can I make one more comment?
Yes.
Sure.
In regards to how we identify where the trolley's at, Roadrunner already has a trolley, an app, so that you'll be able to go on the app and locate exactly where the trolley is and at what time you'll be able to pick it up.
Oh, good.
That's fine, but keep in mind, there are a lot of older people in this town that Mike has said we're going to be riding it who don't have phones that have the capability to take apps. So it has to be something other than just apps.
We've talked about in the committee all the marketing materials we want to do. I mean, but we didn't move forward with printing them in yet until we get approval.
Right.
You know, I saw this happen in one city. They had on one side the place where it travels and the places it stops, and it comes around and comes down the other side. So it like shows both sides of where it comes and stops. So people can get on, they can say, oh, I'm going to go to that one, kind of thing. It works.
We're
Something to
not
look at.
Yeah, we're not relying on the app. The app is a bonus. We're relying on the 30-minute headway and sticking to that time frame. That's really that's what we're relying
On
on.
the holidays, they get a police escort? Is that how we're going to
We're
get
gonna-
around
if-
out of the
They
outlet
get a
mall?
Santa Claus escort.
Santa Claus, very good.
And a Santa Claus with a siren.
Because you can get 30 minutes to get out of the outlet mall.
Anything
Your
else?
Honor?
Anybody?
I would move to authorize the city manager to sign an agreement with the Chamber of Commerce for trolley service.
I'll say.
Second, and I've been looking for this for a long time.
And a second, any further discussion? I'm assuming that until we get the signs, I know it's aggressive for the signs, the drop-off in the centers are going to be the same places the pickups are. I'm assuming that
Yes.
would be the situation.
Some kind of
Okay,
temporary thing.
with that, please vote. That passes 4-0 with one absence. Thank you. All right, that goes down to, I believe, item F on consent. Mike, did you have a question on that? Or did you want to report, or?
Oh, I would like them to just talk about it a little bit because it does pertain to water and some of the things that we as a county now, part of it, are doing to work with the water situation. And so I'd like that to come out to the public.
Okay, Lucy's here.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members.
You're going to have to stick that closer to your mouth, Lucy.
Okay.
We're good.
Just to give you a brief update of what for your consideration is the adoption of the 2014 Integrated Regional Water Management Plan. And this is a county-wide document that initially was prepared in 2006 as part of Prop 50 grant obligation. And this is something that the state is currently promoting as far as the water bonds and the propositions are being voted on. This is their mechanism. There's a chapter in each of the water bonds and the propositions where there's dedicated funds to these kinds of programs. And in Ventura County, we've been very successful in getting grant funding from those sources. And so what this document does is it looks at the overall water picture and how everybody's projects are integrated on a water side so that they could verify that the funds that are being considered for grant funding is going to a specific impact. For example, for Camarillo, it is reflected that TMDLs and water quality concerns and maintaining water quality needs are reflected. So that is in the document, and it goes in extensively on how what kind of projects are viable to solve those kinds of problems on water quality, stormwater issues, and how those are projects that are being implemented in Ventura County would benefit in doing that. So that is a document. It's a countywide document that all of the cities and special districts and
environmental groups are endorsing as part of the integrated component of the effort. And as part of this effort, it's available online for people to view what the countywide effort is, and it's under www.ventura.org /WCVC. So that is a centralized website of all of the water related issues and integration efforts that are occurring in the county. So for your consideration, for this particular one, the original one was done in 2006. This is a 2014. We had to update it in order to freshen up some of the new projects and also take care of some of the global warming issues and some other performance measures that needed to reflect some of the project's benefits on that. So with that, that concludes my talk on this.
Mr. Morgan has a question.
Just a couple things to follow up a little bit. Vicrea, remember that one? The
Yes.
one we were a member of and we weren't getting much out of it, and then
Yes.
now we're back in doing some things. But
Yes.
we're not going to be put in that situation. We're like low man on totem pole in this agency, are we?
No, we
Good.
actually amongst how we compete with the grant funding that's available is we compete on a watershed level. We compete, then take the top 2 or 3 projects and compete on a county level, and then take that as an overall application and then compete statewide. And in that effort, the entire county has received over close to about $44 million in grant funding. In Camarillo, City of Camarillo and Camarillo Sanitary District has received approximate, or at least been committed about close to $8 million. So yes, we have benefited from this.
Okay.
And that is why it's so important for us to participate and endorse this document.
Would that also apply to the desalination plant we're going to be building?
Yes, right now we've been authorized to receive $5 million as part of this, these grant funds. So that's the part of the $8 million that we're receiving.
Oh, so we have 3 more coming too. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, anybody? Okay.
Move to adopt the resolution for 2014 Watersheds Coalition of Ventura County Integrated Regional Water Management Plan.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. That passes 4-0 with 1 absence. I'm going to ask the council, can I move item 9A up? We've got some people here that I know I have some blue cars. Just want to make sure we can get it in the 6 o'clock, unless you think that the capper
Sure.
can be. Do you mind that we do that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to move that we go down to the city manager. It's the Camarillo Tourism Marketing District public meeting. It's to receive public comment. No action is necessary. So, Bruce, do you want to start
Yes.
with the staff report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members. The item before you this evening is the proposed Camarillo Tourism Marketing District Plan, prepared and requested for adoption by the Camarillo Lodging Businesses and Chamber of Commerce. Lodging businesses is basically the hotels and motels, 11 such businesses in Camarillo. If established, the proposed assessment district would be funded solely by the hotel and motel businesses in Camarillo to promote additional Camarillo lodging business through Camarillo marketing and tourism programs. The funds cannot be diverted to other governmental programs, such as the state, and the funds would be governed by the businesses paying the assessment. As part of the necessary legal steps to establish the proposed assessment district, the council approved Reso 2014-95 on September 10, 2014, essentially at our last council meeting, which declared the city's intent to establish the proposed Camarillo Tourism Marketing District Plan as requested. Tonight's agenda item is another necessary legal step to establish the assessment district by creating an opportunity for public testimony on the establishment of the proposed district plan and to levy assessments. The public comment period is open until the scheduled final public hearing set for November 19th, 2014 at 5 p.m. No council action is to be taken tonight. And this concludes my comments, and if you have any questions, be happy to answer.
I have one question,
Yes.
Bruce. What now? The money, can't necessarily go to the state. What about, for instance, like a special district or something like that? Can that money go?
The
to
funding, they pay a small 1% for the city to do the accounting, the collection, and the auditing. It's a standard 1% fee for the city. And then the rest, the entire amount that is collected stays within the district and is governed by the district members. It's just seven board panel that governs the plan and the revenue spending.
Okay. Any other questions? Mrs. McDonald?
But that board couldn't elect to give that money away to another agency, I think is what you're asking.
That's
In
correct.
other words, the state can't come in and rate it, but they couldn't, in this case, it would be a voluntary giveaway. It has to be for its stated purpose.
Yes, it has to be. Yes, exactly. It's frankly against the 1994 Business Improvement District state law. And there's a plan that goes with this that you saw last council meeting that has very concrete guidelines.
Thanks.
If there's any type of violation that's egregious, of course we confer with our city attorney, but that's a finding that could dissolve the plan, not immediately, but pretty quickly. So that's not at all what we want to be doing. And
Yeah, my understanding is the money that's generated specifically will go to the promotion of this.
correct.
Is that correct?
Direct promotion, advertising for heads and beds, tourism.
And they'll have a person, obviously, that will be in charge or employed by this
Yes.
or paid through this fund
Yes,
as well?
there will be. It will create at
will
least
that
one
person
job.
have the office out of the Chamber of Commerce then? Is that where they'll be located?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? I have some blue cards. I'll call you up in the order I received them. Linda Frost, is she here? Okay, Linda, yeah, the microphone's on.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. I am Linda Smith Frost. I'm the general manager of Camarillo Premium Outlets, and I'm here to voice my support for this T-bid. As the #1 tourist destination in Ventura County, marketing to visitors and encouraging overnight stays is very important to our business today and in the future. I've served on the VCLA board for Camarillo for a couple of years now, I think, and I've worked with this tourism committee and the chamber, the city staff and hoteliers to try to realize the creation of this T-bid, and I think we're really close now. These kinds of entities are really common in the travel industry. It's standard in cities throughout California as well as the United States, and I think the need is real here in Camarillo. Our occupancy and our room rates are the lowest of the Tri-City area, including Ventura and Oxnard. Both of those cities have a professional staff, an organization, and budgets to help them to market tourism and overnight stays, and we have no staff and no budget at this time. We really have no place at the table in California tourism right now. This T-bid, I think, will encourage trips here, overnight trips, and it will really increase our profile in the tourism industry and with consumers. I know this city is undertaking an effort to try to bring a hotel and convention center and some sports facilities here. I think if we have a professional organization like this, it will show those businesses that we want to attract here that we're serious and that we have a professional presence in the tourism industry. T-bids have a track record of delivering ROI, and it's at no cost to the hoteliers. It is assessed from the guests, and I think right now we're leaving money on the table because everybody else in the industry is doing this. They're using funds to draw people, and we're not doing it. And this is, I think, good for everybody. I can tell you at the outlets, we're really supportive of this. We've had a lot of competition come on board that's increasing. Tejon Pass, as you know, opened up a outlet facility last month. They will garner some of the traffic going north and south on the 5 from us. It's incremental, but every nickel and dime counts. The Citadel outlets in Los Angeles have expanded. They have attracted some nice new retailers that are duplicated here. So all of these little incremental things have the potential to take away from us. We see this essential to have the talent and the budget on board to market our area, and we're very supportive of this.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate
Thank you.
that. Gary Cushing, please.
Yes. Sorry. I'm sorry. Did somebody have a question?
No.
No.
Oh.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I promise not to go over 3 minutes. Thank you, Mayor Kildee, council members and staff. I'm Gary Cushing, CEO of the Camarillo Chamber of Commerce. I'm here tonight to support the formation of the Camarillo Tourism and Marketing District. I believe the Camarillo Tourism and Marketing District will have a positive impact on the community. The formation of the T-bid for Camarillo will help get the hotel and convention center located here. It will be showing a commitment to the tourism and hotel industry that we are serious in Camarillo about marketing, and I think will help to attract investors. Secondly, the increased exposure of Camarillo through the marketing efforts throughout California could also help attract new businesses to come to Camarillo. By seeing Camarillo there, coming here to visit, they may want to relocate their business here. Thirdly, we will be putting ourselves on the same level as Oxnard and Ventura. We will have a marketing director to attend the trade shows, which we haven't been able to do. The marketing director will be able to coordinate between the hotels, restaurants, and venues here to develop packages to promote the entire city. Fourth, the nonprofits in Camarillo will also benefit from the increased marketing efforts that will highlight their events and bring visitors outside of Camarillo to their events. And lastly, the T-bid will bring in more revenues to the city of Camarillo's coffers. Thank you very much.
Gary, I have just a real quick question, if you wouldn't mind. In your experience as a businessman, once that this rate potentially gets increased, even though it's very minor, does that affect anybody's choice of where they're going to stay in the county? Or in your experience, does that make much of a difference?
You know, when hotels put up a rate, let's say $69, you don't know what the added on. We have one of the lowest TOTs. We have the lowest TOT already in the county at 9%. Everybody else is at 10. I think Santa Barbara's going to 12. I think Anaheim's at like 16. So we're not too high, and I don't think it's going to take away any of our business here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Gary. Josie Williams. Josie, here.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and staff. I'm going to do this in Chinese, so somebody has to translate. Anyway, I am Josie Williams. I'm the General Manager of the Camarillo Residence Inn by Marriott. I'm here tonight to support the formation of the Camarillo Tourism and Marketing District. The creation of the district has strong support from hoteliers and local business leaders. We hoteliers think the funding generated will help promote the city to potential tourists to the region. We would like to get the message out about Camarillo as an excellent place to visit. The new district will be able to promote the city to the level it should be. It will, by being able to market outside of Camarillo for the events like the Fiesta, the Chili Cook-Off, and events at the Camarillo Ranch. We will be able to increase the hotel stays, attendance at local nonprofit events, and eating in the restaurants, and shop at Camarillo's retailers. This will help out the community. I have been involved with Ventura County Lodging Association since its inception and sit on the executive committee, and I see how the other cities like Oxnard and Ventura are able to support the events in their cities. And yet, we just lack of representative. And as a business, as a hotelier, I know that having an entity to promote and market the city will definitely help bring business to the area. In my business, we call it hats and beds. And as a business operator in the city, I have always been amazed at the city council's forward-thinking and pragmatic approach to any business initiative. This tidbit is no different. And I want to thank you for your support, and we know that this will sustain the city and local business for future growth. Thank you for your time.
Josie, I have one quick question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but as a business person too,
Absolutely.
if this does come to fruition, what do you think the increase can be? I mean, is there a percentage number that's a standard number or anything? Or what do you
I think we're proposing 2%.
2%.
2%. And when we go around and ask the hotelier, it really has no impact. The last time when we raised the for Ventura County Lodging Association, the 1.5%, I didn't see any impact from my customers. And like during the summer, when some of my room type, the highest room type is around $300 per night, as you can see from the TOT you collected. You would think that 2% is about $5, and I have not seen any guests complain about it or, ask me to explain what is that all about. I think people take it as, that's part of one of the costs of staying, in a hotel.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not 23% like a couple of cities have.
We would try to. No. We're aiming for that. No, not really. I think that I think the 2% will really help us, to get our efforts started. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Josie.
Thanks.
Next, we've got Rebecca Evans. Is Rebecca here? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Kildee and council members and staff. My name is Rebecca Evans, and I am the Executive Director of the Ventura County Lodging Association. And I'm kind of on the outside of this group. I participate in the tourism for Camarillo because I find it so fascinating that this is a forward-thinking group. We are trying to support you in this effort because some of the things that have happened is as I go out to market, as you know, the branding of the Lodging Association is Ventura County West, and it's Camarillo, Oxnard, and Ventura. And as we're marketing those three cities, I have someone at the table from Ventura, and I have someone at the table from Oxnard, but Camarillo never has a seat there, and that's what I'm missing. I would love to have someone who would be the executive director or whatever we're going to call her, him, sorry, him, her. We'd love to have them at that table so that they can show the specific benefits of Camarillo. As I go out, I talk about Ventura, and we talk about the beach, that sort of thing. We talk about Oxnard, and we can talk at Channel Islands, that sort of thing. When I come to Camarillo, we talk about tourism and that sort of thing, and I don't have anybody to hand it off to. And that's what we want to support this whole initiative because, again, the heads and beds is the number one thing that we work on. And you've seen the growth that has happened around the communities. The marketing is going into Mexico, which I know Charlotte would love to hook us into your sister city in Mexico. We're going into Canada, which is another entity. So we're looking at internationally, but I can't do it if you don't have some foundation here in Camarillo at the city level. So that's why we want to support you. We believe in it, and we think it's the best thing that you can do for the community. I think that's it, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that VC West and VCLA is behind this 150%. Thank you.
Your Honor, the only thing I'm disappointed in is that I helped set the sister city up and been down there 3 times, and they come up here all the time, and I'm always here with them. So I was one of the originators of that first agreement for Sister City.
Excellent. Yes, no, I just find it fascinating. We really like to reach out in a different way and connect us even more so. Absolutely. Thank you.
Melanie Arbus. Is Melanie here tonight? There she is.
Thank you, Mayor Kildee, council members, and staff. My name is Melanie Arboas, and I'm the general manager at the Courtyard by Marriott in Camarillo. I'm here tonight to support the formation of the Camarillo Tourism and Marketing District. I've been on the committee and a board of director at Ventura County West VCLA, and the hotels in Camarillo are at a disadvantage to the other members of VCLA. We do not have a dedicated visitors bureau like Ventura or Oxnard. We have had a positive sales increase since we started the first formation of VCLA. In regards to marketing, we have done a lot of efforts on that, but the hotels in Oxnard and Ventura have had larger sales increase than the Camarillo hotels because they have additional dollars to spend. One advantage for my hotel and the other hotels in the area is that if the T-bid passes, we will have access to a full-time marketing person, and the formation of the tourism and marketing district will give them us the needed marketing help that some of the hotels would probably not be able to afford. We need to have a dedicated individual that can put Camarillo on the map by going to the trade shows and consistently representing the tourism industry in Camarillo. I hope that you will support the passage of the Camarillo Visitors and Tourism. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. I don't have any more blue cards. Anybody else like to make any comments at this particular point? All right, seeing nobody come, I don't know if we have any questions. It's just to receive public comment, and no action is necessary. So
I just want to make a comment. Tonight we don't take action. This was just a matter of letting them publicly talk about it. But I want to thank all of you for working so hard on this. I think it really is an important thing for the city, and I think it's will indeed help put us on the map. Not that we're not already on the map,
True.
but a little different light and a little different perspective. So thank you. I know you've worked really hard on this. This hasn't been easy to do in a lot of meetings, and we truly do appreciate it.
Mike?
You know, the chamber's gotten better. You're more organized. You come in with groups and tell us how important it is, not if it's a trolley or it's this. I appreciate what you're doing when you do that.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Okay, let's get back. I think you can
Excuse me, Your Honor, before we continue, I was giving some thought to the trolley agreement and the fact that you operate a business in one of the centers. There's certainly not any clear conflict there because it's unknown as to what the potential benefit to you would be. But I believe that given that situation, my recommendation would be that we re-vote on that issue and that you would recuse yourself from that vote.
Myself?
Yes. So what you would need to do is leave the dais, and then I'm going to indicate what action we would need. And I believe that everyone that was here for that item is still in the room. So if you could just please step down from the dais, and we'll re-vote that one.
Sure.
And this is just a precaution, just to make sure there's no question about.
As the past mayor, I guess, without a vice mayor, I guess that I will lead the conference.
Yes, that would be fine. I think there would be two things that we would need to do. One would be a motion to rescind the prior approval for the reasons I just stated, because even though the potential may not be great, in order to avoid even the appearance of one, it would probably be best to rescind that vote. So the first motion.
So we're going to go back to item Public Works A.
And I will make the motion as outlined by the city attorney.
To rescind the previous.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to rescind the previous action on the trolley agreement. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carries unanimously.
The next action would be.
Kildee and Mr. Little absent.
Right. And the next action would be, assuming that someone on the council wishes to do so, would be a motion to approve the trolley agreement.
I move to approve the trolley agreement.
Now, since there's only 3 of us here, it could get exciting, huh? No, I'm
It
just
could.
You'll stand out. And you'll stand out if you vote against it, too.
I will second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the agreement with the chamber that will provide trolley service. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carries unanimously with Mr. Kildee and Mr. Little absent. Hey, I'm no longer the only one who has to leave the room.
How about that? Thought you were special, didn't you? Okay, let's go down to community development. You want to come on up and do the CAPR, the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation?
Good evening, Mayor Kildee and council members. As a community development block grant entitlement community, the City of Camarillo is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to prepare a consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, a CAPR, which addresses the expenditure of CDBG funds, the status of CDBG projects, and the number of persons benefiting from the CDBG projects. Each year, the city must summarize in the CAPR the accomplishments and expenditures of CDBG funds used in meeting the goals of the consolidated plan. The report identifies each of the agencies providing services with CDBG funding and describes the number of people receiving the services. The City of Camarillo accomplishments and meeting housing needs are also discussed in the report. Please view my PowerPoint presentation at this time. Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. What it does is provides a general assessment of activities undertaken during the year. It addresses specific projects and accomplishments during fiscal year 2013-2014, and it must be submitted to HUD annually no later than September 28th, and it's September 24th right now. The accomplishments are as follows. I'm going to kind of just gloss over those a little bit, and then I'm going to get a little more detail. But Housing Cost Reduction Program is better known as the Residential Rehabilitation Project. I'll give you a little more detail in a second, but our objective was 6 units, and we did 7 units. 5 of those were homes, 2 were mobile homes. Habitat for Humanity, I have a couple slides right after this one, so I'd like to talk about those 10 units that we accomplished, but the objective was 5. The fair housing was 45 persons. 100 persons were accomplished. I found out most of those were people had the biggest concern they had was about disabled folks had concerns about getting fair housing. So out of the 100 persons, I'd say 70 of them had concerns about disabled accommodations. Turning Point Foundation, as you know, that's up in Ventura, and that houses the mentally ill homeless folks. There's a 10-bed facility up in Ventura that we help fund, and 17 persons were accomplished there. The RAIN project, there's 12 persons accomplished, and again, I'm going to get a little more detail here. Winter warming shelter, that's something we need to talk about. They're talking about changing that in the near future, so we're going to have our CDBG applications come up in December, and we're going to have to ask some questions to the winter warming shelter folks. I put a couple phone calls into them to see how they're going to change it. There's an article in the Star in April saying that they do want to change the current way the warming shelter works. So that's something we're going to have to look at when we get the applications, and then back in March when we come back with the CDBG, we're going to have to ask the folks at St. Vincent de Paul what exactly they're going to do with the money that we'd grant them. Food share, 108 households were accomplished, and ombudsman, 1,342 persons accomplished, interface 989, and Oasis 80. The reason I wanted to come back to this is I kind of tasked each of the groups. I sent them an email, and instead of me just going over the numbers, I asked them to send me an email on what they thought their greatest accomplishments were. And I got about 5 responses. RAIN, for example, said they assisted 12 people total. 5 were children that were living on the street with their parents or grandparents. 7 were adults. All were living in their car or on the street. So all 12 of those residents were Camarillians. The outcomes was 1 single person moved into permanent housing, is now a truck driver and doing well. 1 single male with significant mental health issues is now properly medicated and is living with his parents. 1 single male left to permanent housing with a car and full-time employment. 1 grandparent and grandson moved to permanent housing. 1 adult female is currently at RAIN, is working full-time and searching for housing. 2-parent family with their 4 children are currently at RAIN, and all are progressing. 100% of Camarillo homeless persons who came and left RAIN this year moved to permanent housing. It was a good year. That was from Tina McDonald. So I thought that'd be a little more interesting to get their perspective from them. Food share. From Christy Pollard, she said they had 108 seniors served. All were low income. Each is served a bag of nutritious groceries every other week at 2 assigned locations in Camarillo, Mira Vista Apartments and St. Columbus Episcopal Church, and also receive nutrition education materials accompany the food supplies. Under Ombudsman, Sylvia Taylor Stein wrote that Ombudsman's year, they recruited and trained the most volunteers ever in its 33-year history. In 2014, the number of state-certified volunteer ombudsmen grew to 61. Many of the volunteers celebrated their 10th anniversary with the program in 2014, and the longest-serving volunteers celebrated 23 years with the program. The state of California named the Ventura County Ombudsman as best practices in volunteer recruitment, training, and retention. For interface.
Did she say why there were so many fewer people served than they had anticipated?
It's a best guess issue, and it's just the way it worked out this year. Sometimes they end up spending longer periods of time with somebody rather than just seeing them once or twice. They may end up spending more time with them. Even though the numbers are fewer, you get more quality care.
It's about a third less.
For the food share?
No, long-term ombudsman. Isn't that what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the one where they
That's the one where they visit. But did she give you a reason why they were down a third?
Not that I know of. I'd have to check into that. But it would not be a cause for concern or anything like that. Like I said, they had more volunteers, and it just may have been less folks from Camarillo, but. They're still looking at the same facilities, the same senior facilities and care facilities, so I'd have to get back to you on that.
I'll ask them, because they're all full.
Yeah.
When they come.
Sometimes they a little, I don't know. I'll have to check in that. I'll get back to you. 211, they assisted 1,249 callers. Top caller needs have been free tax preparation, assistance through volunteer income tax assistance, CalFresh food assistance, housing support, Medi-Cal, and utility bill payment assistance. And then Catholic Charities, Oasis served nearly 400 elderly across the county, 80 in the city of Camarillo. Let me just cut to the next chase. This is the habitat, and we've talked about that in a great extent, but I just wanted to show you some before and after slides for habitat. This is their Preserve a Home program. CDB-funded program summary. The number of families served were 10. Average homeowner was 73 years old. Average income, $23,005. The greatest accomplishment was construction of 5 wheelchair ramps, 4 tub for walk-in shower swaps, including grab bars, 70 windows, resulting in more comfort for our senior citizens. It's not just that they started focusing on Casa del Norte, but I'd like to point out that we're moving towards Lamplighter Mobile Home Park now, and also Camarillo Mobile Home Estates. And then there's other candidate locations coming up, and we're keeping the list going. At first, I had concerns that we weren't going to be able to. We're going to have too few clients for Habitat, but I'm not having that problem at all. Mortgage credit certificate. Last year, you recall that I told you we had none. This year, we have 1, and I thought that was for a lack of outreach. But I did a pretty good outreach this year and did some things in the city scene and such, and we still only had 1. I think it's more a result of the economy rather than us not getting the word out, but I'll still do a better job of getting the word out. And then housing choice vouchers are Section 8. That's 449 Camarillians currently receive those vouchers. Review period ends today. We had a copy of the caper at the public counter at Community Development and also one at the library. We received no comments. Today's the city council hearing. I'm hoping for your approval so we can meet the HUD deadline for submission September 28th. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions at this time?
Okay, report. We got a lot of volunteers.
I don't have any questions. I just have a comment. And good job as always. Really good job, and love to see the work with Habitat for Humanities. We're just absolutely, using our money and just tripling or quadrupling or whatever the effect of.
The program's really working well, I think.
Yeah, it's great.
In my opinion.
Questions,
Mike?
This is one of those programs where when they say we don't do anything for seniors, they better take a look at some of the things we do for seniors in this city. And I think the program you brought forward is fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Is there any time, do you think, at some point that we might be able to construct another house for Habitat Humanity in this city?
We'd have to find the location for one, and then for two, rather than helping one family, the way we're working now, we're spreading the wealth.
Yeah, that's
We're
probably a
helping
better way to do
several
it.
families. But if we found the location, it's certainly something we could look at.
Okay. Yeah.
Good report. Very good report.
Thank you, ma'am.
Move to approve the FY 13-14 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report and authorize submittal of the report to HUD.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes 4-0 with one absent. So with that, we will recess to our study session, and we will be back at 7:30.
It's not like we have.
Okay.
He's here.
All right.
He's here.
Okay, I'd like to call the City Council meeting back to order, please, and let the record reflect that all council members are here except Bill Little. Flag salute. Mr. Morgan, would you lead us tonight?
Yes. Everyone rise. Place your hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, amendments to this agenda, City Manager?
No amendments.
Okay, no presentations. We get down to public comments. I have one card. Turn the microphone on here. And Matt Lorimer. Matt's here.
I feel lonely. Where's everybody now?
Yeah.
Need another project.
Can I quote you on that one?
A denial. Hey, by the way, there was a fundraiser. I think it was the Lions Club. Some of you had pies thrown at you. I want to apologize to Kevin, Michael.
You missed me.
Our officer.
You didn't miss me, Matt.
I did. I know.
You missed me.
Jan, I apologize. I mean, it was fun. I spent quite, like $30-40, but that was fun. You guys did a good job on that. That was really good. We did that.
All you have to do is get him excited and say you can't hit me anyway, and he gets mad and throws and misses.
I know. Hey, I want to talk about, I know we're doing water conservation. BeWaterWise.com. I know you guys have your banners. I was kind of impressed with the city, I got to tell you. I called up this morning, and I talked to Donna, I think, who works over, and I said, hey, if I need a shower head, where do a low-flow shower head? And she says, we can get it out to you. I go, that can't be true. Actually, they got it out pretty quick. They got it out within 2 hours, so I want to thank the city. That's a really good job. I've been looking around. Oh, also on the Be Water Wise, I tried to find rebates for toilets. If you replace your toilets like 3.5 gallons or bigger, 1.3 is what you want to use. I can't see any rebates, and there's something going on with that. So maybe you guys want to look into that. I also found another www.getwise.org. This is a program which is kind of cool because this kit, you basically have a shower head, kitchen aerator, bathroom aerator. This is a pretty kind of a cool deal. I know we don't carry it currently. It's something we might want to look into. I thought it was kind of interesting because everybody's looking to save water and stuff like that. So that's something I wanted to bring to your attention. Overall, when I was on there, I had trouble. I couldn't get anybody on the phone. I got the Metropolitan Water District, but nobody seemed to know, even when I called Camarillo Water District, I called the city about the rebates as far as toilets. So that is something we should look into. This is another great program, but that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. Right. And thank you very much.
I thought you were going to talk to us about something about the school.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the school for the kids. Mm-hmm. The kids basically, it's kind of weird. They say you can go through the schools, which I'm going to talk to them about. They can carry these, but also the cities can purchase these. But it's a combination of either or. So the lady's going to send me more information, what the qualifications are. But these are funded partly through the federal government and through SEE. So it's a combination of both. I'm still getting information on that. So I will be back on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, that gets us down to the public hearing items. The first is an introduction of the ordinance amending Chapter 19.63, Special Events, and Chapter 17.04, Signs in Industrial Zones. Dave, do you have that one for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of the special event code is to allow for short-term placement of activities in temporary facilities or out of doors. It is primarily intended for activities of a charitable or philanthropic nature, except as otherwise provided in that code. And permitted activities to be regulated, it permits activities to be regulated to avoid incompatibilities between the event and surrounding uses. Typical special event permits that we have issued are for the Camarillo Christmas Parade, various festivals such as the Fiesta and the Greek Festival, the Summer Concert Series, marathons and races, farmers markets, parking lot sales, and Christmas tree lots. There are discretionary uses of the special event permit. The code allows for the issuance of permits for similar special events which the Director of Planning and Community Development has determined to be compatible with the purpose of this chapter and with the zone and surrounding land uses. Now, this provides for uses that aren't specifically defined, and it provides sometimes a necessary relief valve for the temporary use of property that is compatible with the zone and with the purpose of the code. In the past, special event permits have been issued for temporary truck and construction equipment yards and parking lots, and although it may be compatible with the zone, it's questionable as to compatibility with the purpose of the code. Another example where the director had discretion to use with the special event permit was with the Cool Planet Mobile Biofuel Demonstration Project. This was just north of International Paper. And although it was compatible with the ag zone under a CUP, and a CUP wasn't issued in this case, but a special event permit was used, the special event permits as currently ordered are not allowed in the ag zone. And so one of the things we'll be talking tonight is allowing for special event permits in the agricultural zone. Now, the permit was issued in September 1st of 2011, and the site was decommissioned and vacated May 1st, 2014. So in order to bridge the gap between special event permits and our regular land use code, the staff is developing for your future consideration a temporary use permit for those type of uses of property that are CEQA exempt, very minor, and of a temporary use of the property that fall outside the special event permit code, and you'll see that in the future. So where can a special event permit be issued? The use of a special event permit is currently allowed in all zones for specified uses except in the open space zone, the agricultural exclusive zone, the mobile home park development zone, and there are two parks in this zone, Lamplighter being one, Casa del Norte being the others. The other parks are in the RE and RE1 acre zones, and the professional office zone. What we'd like to do is expand the use of the permit to the OS and other zones. And so in July, this is prompted by a July 2013 complaint about the Human vs. Zombies game in F Canyon. And a special event permit was denied for a planned HVZ event in December of 2013, and any requested event thereafter due to a lack of authority to issue the permit for the OS zone. Now, Humans versus Zombies, the Cam High, Rio Mesa, Las Colinas cross country meets, and the Try Running 5K and the PVRPD Mud Run, they all stage in or use Mission Oaks Park and use or have used the adjoining F Canyon for their events for many years without a special event permit. By allowing special event permits in the OS zones, the city would have better control to reduce the impacts to adjoining land uses and to control traffic, parking noise, and nuisance impacts to the neighborhoods and ensure the city is properly insured for the use of the canyon for an organized event. By allowing in the agricultural zone, for example, we can have circuses, hay rides, and recreational events where they're not currently permitted now. Also, allowing in the mobile home park development zone, we would have the same uses for a special event permit as is currently allowed in your typical residential zones.
Could you stop
Yes.
there? As an example, let's say Lamplighter.
Yeah.
They've got that grass area all out in front. They could do a special event there they could put one together there then.
Yes. And then also allowing in the professional office zones, we could have trade fairs, mixers, and socials in the parking lots, for example, where we currently couldn't have those. In terms of the legislative path and how we got here today, on May 28th, the issue was introduced to the City Council in a study session. And then on June 11th, 2014, text amendments were reviewed by the City Council in study session, and we received permission to proceed to the Planning Commission. June 25th, the Planning Commission's Ordinance Committee reviewed and recommended text amendments to the Planning Commission. In July 15th, 2014, the Planning Commission reviewed and now recommends the text amendments to be approved. So I'm going to take you through the changes to the text. In the first section of the text is the section on city property, rights-of-way, sidewalks, and parking lots. Throughout the document, we've changed the word shall to may to modernize the language and simplify it. We've also added organized outdoor recreational activities to allow for those types of things that aren't strictly races or marathons or foot races, but would adequately describe for our purposes events like Humans versus Zombies and F Canyon. It also adds street fairs, carnivals, and outdoor markets to allow for the fiesta vendor booths and displays in the street and the carnival on the courthouse parking lot, which is now a city parking lot, and other non-certified markets and bazaars. It also adds outdoor concerts in public parks for concerts in Constitution Park and in Disnar Park. And Rich and I are going to be working and coming back to you for rules to use Disnar Park similar to the uses in Constitution Park. We've had requests to be able to use Disnar Park for weddings and things like that. We just need to formalize our policies there. It also adds certified farmers markets for the Old Town Farmers Market on the courthouse parking lot. In residential zones, we've added the mobile home park development zone to the list of residential zones. So all mobile home parks except for Casa del Norte and Lamplighter have had the ability to get a special event permit because they are zoned either RE or RE1 acre. And all mobile home parks would now be able to get a special event permit like any other residential use subject to park owner approval. It removes youth animal projects if specified in the specific zone and keeping of wild birds if specified in the specific zone. These uses are already permitted in the residential zones, subject to obtaining a special event permit, though not allowed in the mobile home park zone. There's no recent history of a request for this activity in a mobile home park. In terms of commercial zones, it adds promotional events to temporary outdoor sales in conjunction with a permanent retail facility. This could include a radio station promo and barbecue in conjunction with a grand opening, for example. In the manufacturing zones, it adds auctions and temporary film production. It adds promotional events in conjunction with a permanent facility. In the open space zone, this is a completely new section of the code, not a revision, and it would allow for organized outdoor recreational activities, including any non-motorized race, walkathon, bikeathon, or similar type of recreational event. would include cross-country racing events, PVRPD mud run, humans versus zombies, youth, nonprofit, or charitable organization projects or events, temporary film production. For the agricultural zone, this is yet another completely new section. It allows for organized outdoor recreational activities, including any non-motorized race, walkathon, bikeathon, or similar type of recreation event, outdoor concerts, carnivals, circuses, hay rides, rodeos, duck races, you name it, we can do it. Youth, nonprofit, or charitable organization projects or events, temporary film production. In the professional office zone, yet another completely new section. It would allow for trade fairs and job fairs, socials and mixers, temporary film production. General conditions. There's a section of the code that speaks about general conditions that are applicable to all special events. And it specifically clarifies parking requirements. It recognizes that many special events temporarily displace parking. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a special event, because the special events are using the parking lot. But it requires that the siting of special events must, to the maximum extent practical, avoid significant reduction in the number of required on-site parking spaces or parking necessary to serve adjoining uses. And one of the things we really do spend a lot of time on when we are looking at approving a special event is the parking required and the impacts to local streets. It clarifies the permit denial, revocation, and appeal section of the general conditions. It adds language to clarify that a permit can be denied if the proposed event does not comply with the provisions of the special event chapter. It adds language to allow a special event permit to be revoked if there is a violation of the permitting conditions or has become detrimental to the public health and safety or constitutes a nuisance or is obtained in a fraudulent manner. It also cleans up appeal language, allows for an order of review by the City Council upon an appeal decision by the Planning Commission. These are rarely going to happen. It could, but it'll be rare. Changes to the sign code. The City Council requested that the banner provision in the Special Events Code be removed and sent over to the sign code. The sign code already allows banners 4 times a year for businesses and commercial zones. And existing language for commercial zones was copied to the industrial zones to allow businesses that have a retail nature, limited retail in the industrial, to be able to have commercial banners similar to regular commercial zones. There are limited, like I said, there are limited commercial uses in our industrial zones, such as restaurants and gymnasiums, that could benefit from having this banner requirement applied in the industrial zones. It also provides conforming language to Section 17.04130, which is prohibited signs, to exempt banners in industrial zones. And with that, our recommendation is that the Council introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 19.63 pertaining to special events and introduce an ordinance amending 17.04 regarding sign regulations. And that concludes staff's report.
Any questions of Dave at this particular time? Mrs. McDonald? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll open the public hearing. Yeah.
You usually have our questions to Dave.
You want to ask a question to Dave?
Whichever you want to do. Go ahead.
Oh.
You have somebody.
I don't have any cards or anything, no.
Close it.
So do you want to ask your question?
Under the public, I can do
Sure.
whatever you want, Your Honor.
Yeah, you can ask a question now.
I am on large page 12 of the ordinance itself. And in the top paragraph, I have a question. I guess I should start the paragraph. It's actually section 4, 19.63.040, item F. And it has to do with special events held in a public park, and it says may be limited as to the number and frequency of events, excluding events which are sponsored or co-sponsored by the city or park district, and include the use of only the park area for the event. My question has to do with particularly Constitution Park. Normally, and I'll take the summer concerts in the park, we not only ask for Constitution Park, but City Hall parking that goes with it. Now, does this exclude that? I read this sentence 4 or 5 times, and I'm not sure what is excluded and what's included.
Well, first of all, there is the concept here, the idea of this number F is to limit the number of events in that park by any one nonprofit. For concerts in the park, one permit is issued for the series.
Right.
And so we don't see that event being affected by this section.
Okay. So if someone else then were to use it, would they be able to use the parking as well? That last part kind of throws me, and include the use of only the park area for the event. I can't imagine that you would only ask for the park and not ask for the parking lot.
Well, in terms of, reading through the sentence, it says no nonprofit organization may be issued more than one special event permit in a calendar year for the use of the public right-of-way. Special events held in a public park may be limited as to number and frequency of events, excluding events which are sponsored or co-sponsored by the city or park district and include the use of only the park for the event.
So you exclude it because it's co-sponsored by the city,
or the park district.
but it also says and includes only the use. So it's excluded because of that, and you only can use the park area, is what I'm reading. And include the use of the park area only. So we have to be co-sponsored by the city or the park district and include only the park area.
I believe this is legacy language, and it might be appropriate to strike the last part of that phrase.
Yeah, that's what's confusing me.
And add and conclude the sentence after park district, period, and strike the rest of the phrase, if that's amenable to the.
Yeah, because you'd also knock out all the activities that go on between the city hall and the park, if you did that.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yep.
you couldn't use the parking lot.
That amendment be made in the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. McDonald?
Is that a trick to see if we'd actually read this whole thing?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You passed.
You are the smart one tonight.
You passed.
We all had to look at it and make sure, and she got it.
Anything else, Mr.
That's all I had,
Okay,
thank
I
you.
open the public hearing. I don't have any blue cards. Anybody like to make comments? So with that, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll request a reading of the title.
I think we have two ordinances on this. There's ordinance 1096, which is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Camarillo, California, amending sections 19.63.020, 19.63.040, and 19.63.060 of Chapter 19.63, Special Events, of Title 19, Zoning of the Camarillo Municipal Code.
I'll move to waive further reading and introduce the ordinance amending Chapter 19.63.
As amended.
As amended on page 4 of 5, on page,
I can
as
second it.
amended.
Second.
Any second? The second. Any further discussion here? None. Please vote. Passes 4-0 with one absence. And with that, I will request the next reading of the title.
This is ordinance number 1097. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Camarillo, California, amending sections 17.04.120 and 17.04.130 of Chapter 17.04, Sign Regulations of the Camarillo Municipal Code.
Move to waive further reading and introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 17.04 of the Camarillo Municipal Code regarding sign regulations in industrial zones.
Second.
There's a motion to second. Hearing no discussion, please vote. That passes 4-0 with one absence. Okay, does that get us down to the introduction of the ordinance for the 17.04 signs and windows and definitions? Do you have a staff report on that one as well?
Yes, this is the window signage item, window signage amendments.
Mm-hmm.
On April 11, 2012, there was a City Council study session that reviewed compliance in Old Town and other areas with the city's window signage ordinance. It addressed concerns regarding overconcentration and clutter of window signage, and direction to staff. There was direction given to staff to return with options to remedy the situation. Staff began studies, assessments, and developed options for future council consideration, which came on January 22nd, 2014. There was yet another council study session on the issue. Staff completed on-site assessments of Old Town, outlet malls, and other commercial centers. Options were discussed for the enforcement of window signage based on distance from the right-of-way, and council was concerned that the right-of-way approach would appear to be discriminating against Old Town businesses, since most Old Town businesses abut the right-of-way and would be held to a stricter window signage standard. With that, staff was directed to propose yet new amendments that would treat all businesses equally and, in the meantime, enforce the existing code. Staff came back again on March 26th, 2014 for a study session. Staff had surveyed more shopping centers and industrial areas in greater detail. We found that a majority of the businesses are already in compliance with our existing window signage regulations, and staff recommended slight changes to address clutter and window coverage. Staff recommended council consider allowing sidewalk signs for businesses within 40 feet of the public right-of-way. And then, following discussion and more refinement, council moved the item to the Planning Commission. May 14th and May 20th, 2014, the PC Ordinance Committee and the Planning Commission took up the item. The Ordinance Committee reviewed the ordinance, recommended approval. Planning Commission now recommends approval. On June 25th, 2014, council introduced the ordinance, but we had a hiccup. Subsequent Chamber of Commerce concerns arose at that point. They were concerned about the minimum size of the sign. In our introduced ordinance, we had suggested a 1 square foot minimum sign size. The Chamber believed that to be impractical. We agreed. Chamber preferred that there be an 8.5 by 11 minimum size. And that's because most sheets of paper for business uses are 8.5 by 11, and when you want to say your store's closed, you write closed and stick it on the thing. No one's going to look around for a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper to do that on.
Right.
So the Chamber was right, and we really appreciated that input. They also brought up the idea of incidental signs, and lo and behold, that is actually a defined term in our code already. And those are the signs that say, you know, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, the Chamber of Commerce, membership sticker. We call those things Klingons. There are a lot of Klingon stickers. Well, they're already regulated by our code, and you can use as many as you want as long as they don't exceed 6 square feet per use or occupancy on a parcel. And so we're not requesting any changes on that. People like their Klingons. Now, over 90% of the businesses in the 11 commercial centers that were surveyed were in compliance with the existing regulations. Over 75% of the shops in the factory outlets, for example, were in compliance with the current regulations. If signs with a 6-inch or greater setback are exempted from regulation, then the compliance rate would exceed 90%, and this is what we're suggesting. In terms of our survey of industrial zones, very few industrial zone businesses actually display window signage because very little retail activity happens in an industrial zone. So in terms of definitions, the current definition of a window sign means a temporary sign placed in or attached to the interior side of a window. We're proposing that a window sign means any sign placed in a window or attached to the interior side of a window surface or painted on the exterior or interior side of a window surface or otherwise located within 6 inches of the window so as to be visible from the exterior of the building. This definition does not include window displays of merchandise offered for sale or incidental signs. We added that language since the last time you saw it. A window sign painted on the exterior surface of a window must be sealed in a manner that preserves the sign and protects it from damage or defacement. That's usually a spray-on coating they put on. In terms of the definition, signs that are set back at least 6 inches from the window have less aesthetic effect or less aesthetic impact than signs that are placed right on the window. Merchandise displays are not a significant issue and can be excluded from the definition, which we have done. In terms of the definition for signs permitted in all zones, We're looking to change that on the right to say window signs is defined as one temporary window sign not to exceed 6 square feet in area or 25% of the window area of any single window, which I think that's or any single window, whichever is greater, is permitted on each building frontage in all zones, except in commercial zones where window signs are permitted subject to its own separate section of the code.
I think it's of, because you got
Yeah,
the or before the 25%.
I'm actually jumping ahead to the commercial section.
You did.
This would allow non-commercial uses to have an opportunity to communicate through one window sign per frontage, but reduce potential clutter. This is a typical usage of window signage in a non-commercial zone, for example. Now, with commercial signs, we want to fix two problems primarily: small sign clutter and too much coverage. So what we've come up with is this, is that for commercial zones, window signs are permitted in all businesses subject to the following regulations. Each window sign must be at least 8.5 inches by 11 inches, and no more than 25% of the total window area on each frontage of a business may be utilized for the display of window signs. Previously, the language had been 25% of a single pane, which really limited the flexibility, especially in the outlet centers where they've got very large panes of glass and very large posters. So when we're talking about 25% of the total frontage, it provides this kind of flexibility. You can span panes, behind the window, within 6 inches of the window, and still maintain your 25% coverage. The one new innovation that we came up with was the use of sidewalk signs in Old Town and other areas where it might be applicable. And so a sidewalk display sign would be defined as one sidewalk display sign, such as an A-frame or sandwich board, is permitted for each business that has frontage within 40 feet of the curb line of a publicly maintained street. Such sign may be placed on private property or within the first 18 inches of any public property that is directly in front of the individual business. Such sign may not exceed 6 square feet per side. A minimum passageway width of 48 inches must be maintained along the sidewalk in front of such sideway display sign. No sidewalk display sign may be placed outside of business during non-business hours. So let me just go back. So there could be situations, especially in Old Town, where the sidewalk's just too narrow. And so if it's very narrow, but let's say they've got 49 inches available to them, well, they can put that sign smack up against the building, just flat, and we'd call it good, but they couldn't turn it sideways and block 2 feet of passageway. Mm-hmm. The primary consideration here, of course, is pedestrian safety. We want to ensure that we've got good pedestrian travel, we're not blocking anybody or preventing a tripping hazard. In terms of enforcement of the new standards, in my staff report, I've made the point that some business owners have made significant investments in their window signage, and we're suggesting a 3-month period of education and soft enforcement before we go to a full enforcement mode, and I recommended this before. And our action is to introduce the ordinance amending the sign code. And that concludes staff's report.
Any questions of staff, Mrs. McDonald?
Going back to the sandwich boards, when we talk about the size and the distance, let's say they have a frame and the legs of the frame are outside the display piece itself. You're measuring from whatever sticks out the furthest?
Yes, the whole frame and the message inside the frame is what's involved in the calculation. We don't exempt any of that from the calculation.
Because I'm thinking of something that could have some feet on it or something for stability, but you'd measure from the feet where someone could trip on it, then not the sign itself.
Yeah, generally they're stick built, and you rarely have that. I mean, if it's too windy, then it's just a hazard, and we just suggest for everybody's safety and for the longevity of their sign, they just take it down.
And that's something we would leave. I just worry about the liability of it all if somebody trips or if you just brought up another one, blows over on them. Or,
As are we, and we'd work with the business owner to make sure that we got them in a good position to be able to have their sign and yet have it safe too.
so it's really that education piece
Absolutely.
of teaching.
And there's disabled access requirements and width requirements as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Save the what requirement?
Disabled access, width requirements on minimum width on the sidewalks.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else have any questions? This is an advertised public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. I don't have any blue cards on this. Anybody like to? With that, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I will request a reading of the title.
This is ordinance number 1098, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Camarillo, California, amending sections 17.04.020, 17.04.090, and 17.04.110 of Title 17, Signs of the Camarillo Municipal Code.
Move to waive further reading of the ordinance and introduce an ordinance amending the Camarillo Municipal Code, Title 17, Signs and making other signs and making other conforming amendments to Chapter 17.04.
Second that with a comment, Charlotte. Your favorite store, windows look good.
I was going to comment after we got it. Since we've started discussing this and since we asked the city to enforce the current code, even while we were discussing the new code, I've noticed many stores along the boulevard have really cleaned up their windows, and there's not nearly as much clutter.
Yes, I just wanted to say we've had a lot of study sessions on this, and Planning Commission and the staff and the council has worked very hard on this ordinance. So without any further discussion, please vote. And that passes 4-0 with one absence. Okay. I believe, let's see, that gets us back to... Okay, that gets us back to new business, oral communications, informational items. Mr. City Manager, anything tonight?
I do have one item. I wanted to take a couple minutes and give the City Council and, of course, the Mayor an update, a status check on the lamplighter project. I'm just looking at my notes. I got out of sync here already. Since we last talked about this item, we've had two meetings, August 19th for 4 hours and September 18th for 2.5 hours. Attending those meetings were the lamplighter residents, including a majority of the HOA board, the park owner's representative, and myself, along with numerous emails and voice calls. So we've had quite a bit of communication and correspondence over the last few months, but primarily we did meet face-to-face, all the different stakeholders and key folks for a total of roughly 6.5, 7 hours. I believe, in my observation, that the meetings have been very progressive, that we've made significant progress on a number of items, and we've even added a few items with good, healthy discussion like I think we've had in brainstorming. We've come up with some additional items with the group that we think should be looked at, especially when it helps the park owners as well as the residents and overall the city. Since we've visited this item, the new site park managers have been hired, not the new, not the interim new ones, but the real new ones that have been there for about 4 to 6 weeks now. My understanding that the residents and the park owners and the managers, of course, things have gone well. It's been a great transition, and the new managers are comfortable and they're enjoying their work. Sometimes things are relative. The previous park they were in, which is not with this park owner, but a previous park they were in was in a very undesirable area, location. So in some cases, there's basically nothing here that can practically bother them, according to what I've heard. Progress has been made on the long-term lease, which is what we've talked about. the rental assistance program, and there's two parts. It's the application, guidelines, as well as the agreement itself. And when I say progress has been made, the first meeting, the park owners basically reiterated and explained to the residents present at the meeting what the agreement said and why they said what they said. Try to get into more of the meat and the detail of the current agreements. The residents went back between August 19th and September 18th and redrafted and submitted on the second meeting, proposed new terms. And my opinion, they did an excellent job. I don't know if they got professional help and financial help or someone has that skill set, but it was pretty obvious that they were very businesslike, and they submitted items that were debated in a healthy manner, not too much, but debated in a healthy manner, and they made sense, and they were really well thought out. I was impressed, if my opinion means anything. I think they did a very good job. The owner took the redrafted documents and will further study, go back and see their financial people, and they will re-engage with the residents as well as myself at our next meeting. And on these particular items, the parties agreed to use email and voice calls between the next meeting, this meeting, and the next one, because there's a lot of detail involved, and we don't want to. It's a big trip for everyone to come here and meet for that amount of time. Some of those additional items I mentioned was to look into the emergency access requirements in the park, if the documents could be printed in language other than English, what the law says on that, utility fees, and changing cable TV vendors for lamplighter. They apparently have their own cable TV vendor that is not. You probably pay for what you get. You don't pay a lot and you don't get a lot, so maybe they would at least like the opportunity to look at getting something a little bit more contemporary. The maintenance list is documented in a spreadsheet. It's shared by all. It's a working list. Currently on the list are 51 maintenance items. 42 have been completed. The 9 remaining are either in a bid process. They're larger items. Materials are back ordered. In all cases, the 9 items that are sitting are not being ignored, and there is progress being made. And one item could be the big stretch of asphalt, the roadway that was repaved to fixing a faucet. It makes its way on the list. Some can be big items, some little, but all are important. And finally, we've heard many comments about rent stabilization. Our city attorney gave us a very good report, most recently in May of this year, and reviewed a number of issues, primarily with case law and the risk involved for the city in this area. On August 21st of this year, the residents submitted, along with their attorneys, 2 attorneys that they've retained, additional information. And the information it doesn't argue the attorney's report. It's new information, and it's primarily other ordinances and programs that other cities have adopted. And there'll be an extensive amount of work, primarily done by the city attorney and city staff, which we'll be working on between now and October 24th. October 24th has been scheduled at 10:30 a.m. for our staff, the attorney, primarily the attorney, the residents' attorneys, and any of the residents that wish to attend for a meeting at 10:30 a.m. in San Luis Obispo. And the reason it might sound like, why are we going there? It's because their attorney is in San Luis Obispo, and it's more convenient for their attorney, and frankly, it saves them on some billable hours. And our attorney has said he would not travel, charge us for time to travel there.
It's because he's paid by the word, right?
Yeah, he's by the word. Or I told him I'd call him and talk with him for 2 hours, and we can conduct business. So nobody's getting a gift of our time. But it is, all kidding aside, that is really why we were going there, to save some hours. It's probably 4 or 5 hours of billable time. And as I mentioned, we need the time between now and then to really study this item. And it's basically to study what's happened in the last few years with different cities in this area. No promises either way, but we're going to do a full job on this, and there's absolutely no predetermined, because we don't know, outcome of rent stabilization in this area. So, as I said, if my opinion means anything, I think we're off to a really good start, and we're getting a lot of progress has been made, and we're getting a lot of into the nuts and bolts and in the weeds, which is really where the important parts are in the details. So, that's it for my update.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Mr. City Attorney, anything tonight?
No, I have no items.
Okay. City Council, let's start off with Mr. Morgan.
Well, this was a busy time. I went to the Airport Authority meeting. We found out something that's going on besides normal business. This coming year, we're going to have a fly-in, they call it. And they've done it all over the United States, and there's 500 planes coming from everywhere. And they'll come in and land. Probably 200 will go to Oxnard. 300 will be here. They'll camp out. I call it camp out. But they'll get together and have a good time. They'll use our airport cafes, and they'll use our hotels. And so we should have a good hotel, non-vacancy, all full that weekend. But it looks like it's a fun kind of event that would be, profitable for us. The Roadrunner will be the one that does the shuttling forth. Let's say you want to go to Oxnard in a hotel, but you want to come back here to the event.
That's not allowed.
Anyway, they will be renting him. They go back and forth. And so we try to accommodate some of those in the Oxnard felt they were being shoved aside a little bit, but now they know that all of them can't stay in Camarillo, and some planes will have to go to Oxnard and so on. So it worked out real well.
When is that?
It'll be, I don't have the date right now, but it's in the spring of next year. And they'll be flying in from a lot of places. They'll probably hit our factory outlet mall, and they know they've got the Roadrunner will have a shuttle to shuttle them around too. We had the State of the Union address. Kevin did a great job. That was a very good job, and I think it made us look good. We had the policy committee meeting. That was you and I, Charlotte. And I think we talked about that, so I'll let you if you want to talk more about it. The Emergency Expo turned out to be pretty good, but it was 95 degrees. It was because John had to go do things. Mike, can you be MC while I go get this done? I went, oh, sure. An hour and a half later, John, where are you? And I had to call for more water because people were drinking. It's free water there, but it disappeared. We had to go get a whole section more water. So there were people there, and we kept reminding them, stay hydrated, folks. It's hot today. But it was a worthwhile event. Event to raise, okay. This past week, we went to an event to raise money for the mini meals program, to raise funds for that. Well, we did it at Padre Serra, and it was packed. 350 people were there. And it raised a lot of money with the auction and other things that went on. I feel good that Mini Meals got some funds. Lions Club had a white cane. Jan and I went to that. We got some pies thrown at us. One didn't get me. They tried 3-4 times. But it was a lot of fun, and I finally did get hit by a couple of Lions guys. Then we had the Eagle Scout Award, and this is the first one I've gone to that's been held over at the hangar over here at the Commemorative Air Force Museum. The hangar was full. I think that's why they did it. They're going to have so many people. There's probably 200 people there for this one. Two brothers. I've never given out awards to two brothers at the same time. And that was one that worked out real well. But it's enjoyable. APC, the Air Pollution Control Board. I represent us on the Tri-County with Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo. It's kind of different going up there, but one of the main goals was to slow down, pay to slow down the ships. Ships are our biggest polluter in Channel. They've come, if we slow them down, not only will it less polluting, but it also will be safer for the whales. And it'll be a period of both quality boards going to chip in to pay them so much money. I think $1,200 or something going through the channel if they'll slow down to so many knots. And so that's just one of the things. There are a lot of other things I don't want to get into, but it's like Pismo Beach trying to get rid of people doing the sand dunes with their buggies and stuff. You'll hurt a whole industry if you do that up there. So that's still being pitched. We had a volunteer recognition dinner, folks. That was really good. I don't know, how many do we have?
It was probably 420.
420.
Somewhere in that range.
That was the best turnout I think we've had.
It might have been the biggest dinner group in the lawn ever at the range house.
And so that was enjoyable. Everybody liked it. It was a nice weather and the whole shot. So thanks for the city helping put that together. Spirit of the Community Partnership Award, a luncheon. That was at Padre Serra. That's the United Way giving away awards for people who've done so many good things and been have given them money, basically, companies, corporations, big ones. And that's one of my friend Dave Smith's last things. And so I hate to see Dave Smith leave. He's been very valuable to our community. I hope that when he has his final farewell thing, we have a proclamation for him, I hope. Yeah. AWA, Association of Water Agencies, had its yearly reception at the Ronald Reagan Library. And, you know, reception's a reception, but we had a great speaker. This speaker did talk about the, what do you call it, the greenhouse gas. He talked about history and periods of history when we had greenhouse gas and what caused it and what it caused. And so it's hard to control it, but he says the best we can do is try to control. You can't control nature, but try the best you can to live and control it. Anyway, English voice, he was funny. It was a great night. So thank you all. That's it.
Ms. Craven, anything tonight?
Oh, I have several things. I want to remind everybody, both here and out in television land, that the city's 50th anniversary is coming up very quickly. It's less than a month away now. And the 12th is the cutoff for buying tickets to the dinner dance, so people need to get their tickets purchased. You can purchase them online. You go to the city's website, and right over on the right, there's a banner. The first one to come up seems to always be about the 50th anniversary, and there's a little thing that says, buy your tickets here, and you just click on it, and it gets you to the right page. So I hope lots of people will do that. That dinner will be on Friday the 17th, the next day. The 18th is a Saturday, and we're going to have a big event out in the park. And it's free to all who want to come and listen to music. There'll be all kinds of things for kids to do, lots of fun. Face painting, a balloon guy, a roving magician. Home Depot is going to have something out there where kids can make a tile, a personalized tile. It's going to be a lot of fun. And there'll be a different band every hour. It's called Music Through the Decades. Start out with current music and end up with 60s music at the 6 o'clock concert. So every hour is going to be changing, starting at 11 o'clock that day. So I hope to see as many people as we can pack into that park at that event. Excuse me. In preparation for that, in August, I made this up, and I neglected to hand it out to the council members, so I'm going to do this. I went through, and with the help of Stan Daly and Jerry Olson and some people at the Historical Society, we came up with these quick facts, and then it goes on into, this is not the history of an outline of the history of Camarillo for the last 50 years. It's simply what happened to lead up to the election for incorporation, what happened in the interim period, which was between September 29th and October 22nd of that year, and then what happened at the first council meeting. And we, planning, I guess, got this map together, and Richard's group put it on the website. In purple or lilac, whatever you want to call that color, is the original city site, and then all of the rest is the incorporation, land that's been incorporated since then, and the numbers within each block, each different color, is the incorporation numbers. So number 1 had a couple of parts, and that's in orange, and number 2, and so on. Up to number, I believe 110 was the last one, and that was the high school. So anyway, this has been distributed to teachers at schools so they can copy it and use it in their units about the history of Camarillo that they're planning to have next month. And I hope it's useful. That's all I can say.
I have to say, Charlotte, I've used this on a number of occasions already. So
it puts it all together in one place. Stan had told me it's all in my book, Charlotte. And I said, yeah, but not everybody wants to read 700 pages. Okay, so that's that. I did attend the meetings that the meeting Mr. Morgan mentioned. I also today went to the Fox Canyon meeting. It turns out that there was a series of laws passed. I had that a minute ago. Two of them introduced by Fran Pavley, and I forget who introduced the third one. Together they're called the Groundwater Sustainability Act of 2014, and it designated areas of the state that needs to have groundwater sustainability agencies, and within one of these bills it names Fox Canyon as the agency for Ventura, for the Fox Canyon area, not all of Ventura County, unless we vote to decline that opportunity. From the discussion at today's meeting, I believe that we will not decline that opportunity. There are a whole list, almost a whole page of duties that the Groundwater Sustainability Agency in each area will have. And some of them we currently have, many of them we do not have. But one of the things I want to bring to your attention is a groundwater sustainability agency that adopts a groundwater sustainability plan may impose fees on the extraction of groundwater from the basin to fund costs of groundwater management, including but not limited to the costs of the following: administration, blah, 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 acquisitions of land or other property, facilities and services, and funding supply, production, treatment, and distribution of water. Other activities as necessary. That's where our desal plant would come in, under the supply, production, treatment, and distribution of water. So I think this is all good. It doesn't take effect till January 1st, but anyway, it's a step in the right direction. For when we tried to get a law passed a year ago that gave us that ability, it got absolutely nowhere. So this is statewide, and it got farther. The other thing that I read in, what was it, yesterday's paper? No, Saturday's paper. Time flies. It was about something the school district did. And it says district opposes reserve limits. So I read the article, and the state passed a law which they actually took an opposed position against and hope the governor will not sign. But it's in conjunction with Prop 2. And the reason I'm concerned about this applies to school districts. It says that they can have no more than 6% in reserves. And the reason I'm concerned about it is not because, I've never been on a school board, so I would imagine they need more than 6% reserves. It says here Pleasant Valley has 30% in reserves. My concern is if they can do this to school districts, next time they want a money grab, they can do it to all special districts, and they can do it to cities. They've just found another way to take money that some other government agency had. So I think we need to look at this. I think we need to, this is the first I heard of it. If we've discussed this here, it completely went over my head. But I'm really concerned that the state would say that something like the school districts, not just our district, can only have a 6% reserve. And this is on the ballot, Prop 2. If Prop 2 passes, then, and if the governor signs this law, then they work together to limit the reserves. So anyway, my antenna started wiggling, and I don't like that way of going after somebody else's money. It's all about money, and it's all about money grabs.
Before we had that much reserve to give away, I'd spend it first.
Well,
what we need.
There's ties to funding, though, so that limit goes into place if this funding source comes into play. They go together. It's not one or the other.
No, it's not one or the other. They go together,
Yeah,
but the
so-
governors,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But-
school boards are just, are different. They're a little closer,
It may be
closely
different,
tied to this.
But it
state
doesn't
funding.
take much of a leap when the state needs money to say, oh, we did this for school districts, let's just do this for other people. How can we find a way to do it? I'm very guarded about money that we've worked very hard to save. Okay, the last thing I have is, could somebody tell me the date of the Channel Counties League meeting that's going to be here? I've missed that.
It was down in...
24th of October.
24th of October, thank you. I just need to get it on my calendar. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Mrs. McDonald, anything tonight?
Yes, I do. Speaking of dates, looking at the Economic Development Agenda, Committee agenda for Friday, the fly-in is either going to be March or April of 2015. That's as close as they've gotten. And the city did send out a letter of support
Yes.
for that. I have a couple of things. First, I also wanted to thank and congratulate Kevin on a great job on the State of the City. You did a great job, and you presented the city well. And we have a city to be proud of, and you did a great job. Especially enjoyed your trip to back in your childhood, too. You're becoming a lot like Stan Daly, you know that? I also want to thank the city manager for his work with the Lamplighter Group. You've really stepped in there and done a great job of bringing parties together, and I think you're doing a great job, and I appreciate that, and I'm sure they all sides do as well. I also want to thank staff for the volunteer appreciation dinner. You all did a great job. They all need to be commended for putting on, I think, one of the best dinners we've ever had.
That's what the public said.
It was just great. Yeah, food was good. Everything was good.
I'll let them know they can have Saturday and Sunday off.
Absolutely. And in fact, the next weekend, too, if they
Okay.
want to. Yeah. Couple of questions. We talked tonight about signs, and we talked about moving banners out of the special event section. Are we next going to talk about what came up at our last meeting about banners for nonprofit events and the treating people fairly, or how they are determined that everyone is being treated fairly? Is that going to be a discussion we
Yeah, and there was another speaker that brought that up. Did we need some time to study that?
Yes, I think there. What we really need to determine is under what form it's going to come under. I don't know if it's necessary that it come as a text amendment, for example, but possibly it could be handled as a council policy. And so maybe a policy committee and hashing it out there might be more productive.
I think so.
What I would be interested in knowing, and maybe you can just shoot it out to us now that it's all moved, exactly what the wording is going to be in our ordinance so that we can understand what we have today before we go forward.
What Mr. Tremblay was discussing was actually the practice of having pre-event banners throughout the city is really not defined in our code. And it's not what you dealt with when you moved banners to the sign code. That was for things like a grand opening banner, for example, but not a pre-event banner or pre-event banners through the city. We really don't have a whole lot of that activity, but it does come up at Fiesta, and then Hospice wanted to do it for the chili cook-off. That's what created the rub. And so the question is well, gee, if the city can do this for themselves, then what discretion do you leave the community development director to do that? So in policy committee, I would imagine we'd be talking about the number of allowable banners, location, available.
Size.
There are code restrictions there that I can explain to you at the appropriate time through that committee.
Okay.
And what those restrictions are. Also, the length of time those banners can be up prior to the event. I think those are all
Lay it all
very
out.
good discussion points.
And when they need to be taken down, too.
Well, yeah. And and you know, having an understanding consistency between what the what the city council is reserving for itself when it has its own special events versus private special events, and whether we want to have those more aligned. And by having some type of policy that says this is where we would allow banners if the community development director has a special event permit and people are requesting banners. This is how many, the maximum we would want to see for any special event in town and those type of issues.
I thought there was a 6 was the number that I was told over the years. Was that just a practice versus
That could
an
have
actually?
just been a practice. I haven't seen it codified anywhere.
But when we were told, because I'm involved with that kind of thing, we were told that we have 7 days, period, for them to be up. Then they have to be down within the next 3 days. That's what we've been living by all these years.
It could be, but I haven't seen it.
And I was told that by planning department, so we've been living by that.
Believe me, planning directors can say a lot of things a lot of times.
I guess they did.
Let's write this down.
But I prefer to read the code and find the authority there.
Well, it helps with consistency, obviously.
I think it's important that we have that discussion and find a meeting place.
If we do that, I think we have to look at schools, because in Ventura I passed schools that had these banners up there for ages. I think that if we're going to allow that and allow some things to hang, that should live under the same standards, 7 days, not hanging around there all the time.
Schools are pretty well defined in terms of our practices there, and so that's an easy area to deal with.
Good.
There are other areas that aren't so well defined.
Okay.
It's that special event one that, okay, I'll let everybody know that that's coming and you're going to be working on it. I have one more, and this was something that I don't remember. I think there were a couple of you, it might have been in the room at the league when they were talking about filming in cities and the whole process. And this was by the director of the LA, what do they call theirs?
Film Commission.
Film Commission, their Film Commission. And he was a very good speaker. And it popped in my mind again, I think you sent out an email letting us know that they were doing some filming here in Camarillo this past week. And one of the things he talked about was nowadays, in this day and age of our internet and so forth, the best thing you can have, forget a director of this or whatever, is it's on your website. And that you really have a section on your website that talks about how your ordinances apply, that you are a city that's friendly to it, shows examples of what they can do, because that's how they really go searching nowadays versus even going out and physically looking. The first stop is a city's website. So I'm hoping, I know we're working on our website. I'm hoping that's a page.
Clickable icon at the top of every page, right up there in the band.
One of the tabs. Banners, whatever you want to call them, that really does hit, for filming. And it was he was just over and over, he said it, that it's really your website is the spot you start.
Okay.
So I would hope that we can work on that. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Let's see. There was a VRSD meeting I attended. It's already been said, the state of the city, volunteer ranch. Also, I attended a ribbon cutting at St. Mary Magdalene School on the 19th of Friday, and Mike was there as well. Also attended the Coastal Cleanup Day, briefly the 20th, and it was a big success. They pulled a lot of debris out. One gal I met had said she pulled a tire out, if you can believe it. So they pulled a tire out. Poor thing, she was really sweaty, and we got our money's worth. I'm telling you.
Evan,
she's a great lady.
Which part of the clean? Did you go in the canyon? Did you go?
Went to the canyon.
You didn't go in the
creek. I'm sorry. I went to the creek.
Yeah, creek is where it's tough.
Yeah,
because I've done that. And you sweat your buns off over there.
Yeah, Mrs. Kiefer. She's a teacher at Cape, and she worked really hard, as did everybody else. There was a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of volunteers on Saturday. It was really great to see. Mike, thanks for taking the Eagle Scout to 14th. That was my birthday, so
I know.
That's why I didn't go.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. But I
How old are
appreciate
you
you
now,
doing
Kevin?
that. 26. 58, actually. Okay, and then what else is there? Coastal cleanup. I think that's about Somebody asked me, maybe staff could look, when they have the cruise night tonight, they want to start their engines. Have we, I think I did put, I don't know, these guys have some old cars or something that they like to start their engines at 6 o'clock on the last one. Your one right here on the 20th, the Friday night. Are you familiar with that, Mike? They start their engines. Yeah. So they asked me if they can do that.
Usually they have
You
one
have to be
event
one-
where they have the muscle cars that they want to fire
You have to be
up.
careful when you do that, because if all those muscle cars light up, because sometimes they take off alone and it's wow. If they all light up together, there's going to be a real roar in that neighborhood.
Maybe I've got the guy's
See
phone
what
number.
their
Could we get
permit
back to
sells
him?
are.
And
Yeah,
say-
unfortunately, their permit restricts the revving of engines.
Yeah.
Because we received a significant complaint last year, and we had to restrict the event for the revving of engines.
Right.
Because, it was really problematic last year.
If they could start the engines up, but no revving, that'd be good. But you got to remind them, no revving, all of them.
Still fills that whole thing full of.
Because
Should
it's
make-
a great event. It's a great event.
I'll have the individual, call.
Yeah.
I think that may be better than to get a mixed
Or,
message.
or Dave can call them to
I can get
Tom
you the phone
Maloney.
number. I'll get you the phone number tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's
Then.
going to happen.
Friday.
Friday's the last one.
Friday.
And just remember, no revving. Otherwise, they can start.
Your Honor, before you close, I forgot something.
Sure.
Are you done? I'm sorry.
I believe I am.
I just didn't want you. I think you were saying you're done. I just forgot the.
I have one other thing. I don't know if anybody I just got it at the store, but there's a little Camarillo phone book, and they have the caption. Did everybody see that?
Yes.
That the city is born. So
City is born.
The banner, yeah. So that was pretty cool.
was on my
I thought that
doorstep.
was
Did we
really
get one
neat.
city yet?
They just came out a couple of days ago.
It's on
so-
my doorstep
yeah.
today.
Yeah. So anyhow, so I thought that was pretty neat. Yeah, Ms. McDonald.
I just forgot my Brown Act meeting, so I don't get in trouble. VCTC and Investment Committee. So
Good. Okay. So with no further business, we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone.